Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. It is so good to be here. Yet another Monday, Incubators Couch. And I see a couple of you guys are chiming in already. Let's go, let's go. I'm looking forward to this one.
Are y'all ready? Because we ready, man. It's all about us today.
Yeah.
Just us. No guests.
No
so
guests.
It's going to be a good
you
one, y'all.
You have our full and undivided attention.
Yes.
In fact, some could even say that this was crowdsourced because it was you guys that said you guys should just do a whole episode on target audience. Well, we're not just going to do an episode. We're going to do a series on target audience. But we want to say this for those who are watching live, those who are watching the replay. This is the Incubators Couch, unscripted, vulnerable conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners just like you. And in today's episode, we're going to be doing something slightly different. We're going to be taking a look at target audience. And there are some key things to do to really identify your target audience. And we're going to be looking at the first step of that tonight, which is identifying, determining the characteristics of your products or service. Determining the characteristics of your product or service. This is critical. And we're going to dive right into it.
And it's a little different. We're not going to do the host rant. I know y'all love the host rant. We love the host rant too.
We do.
So we're not going to do that or the resources. But we have a good episode for you guys today.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll say this. There is enough rant in the presentation. There's enough resources in the presentation. There's enough therapy session in the presentation. So I think this is a great way to kind of just put everything together.
Yes.
All right, let's see. So what we normally ask people to do is to let us know the name of your business, where your business is located, and I think that was it, right?
And what does it do? What do you do? What does your business do?
Name of the business.
What is your product or service?
That's better. Yeah. What's your product or service? And what is your business? What's your product or service? And yeah. That's so good. Yeah.
And we love to give a little shout out. If we've worked with you in the past, we kind of hype you up a little bit.
Oh, we definitely will hype you up.
So definitely put that in the chat, and throughout, the presentation or whatever we will shout you out for sure. So please do that now if you can.
Absolutely. I think that's the main thing we wanted to touch on, is just kind of giving you that little prompting, because I feel like as we get our show as we get our show started, that's a great way for us to also have networking. That's a great way for you to know who's watching. It's a great way for you to be like, oh, so-and-so's into that. Okay. That's a partner industry to what I do. So definitely would love to be able to connect with them and hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, because last week we did have some people make some really great connections.
Absolutely.
In the chat, and I'm hoping they connected offline. But we want to just get that going, get people to connect with one another.
Yes, indeed. Well, man, we are not going to do that one or that one. Let's move to here. All right, so that takes us into our presentation mode. So, man,
what are we starting off with?
We're gonna. So I want to kind of lay the groundwork first, right? So we're talking about identifying your target audience. This is the group of people. Let me not even try to summarize it. Gary Link, what's going on, man? Gary Link, thank you so much for putting your business in the comment section. We want to make sure that we get a chance to shout you out real quick. Let's go back to the main screen for just a second. Thank you. Greenville, South Carolina in the house. He put Spartanburg and Anderson. I'm assuming those are also cities, areas that he covers as well, which is pretty cool. Upstate pickleball and paddles. Love it.
Really? Okay.
Love it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Because pickleball is like taking over the world right now. It's insane. What are you looking at?
No. I something popped up. So pickleball is insane. Pickleball, paddle, sales, and instruction. I like it. So fam, this is the order of the day. As you come in, share what the name of your business is, who you serve, and where you're located.
Yeah.
Name of your business, who you serve, where you're located. Those are the things we want you to share. And we're excited that you're with us. And listen, man, tag a friend if you know they have a business.
I know.
We're going to be looking at a very critical topic, which is target audience. And I want to read this because it's just better, so much more concise when I read it. Target audience is characterized as a group of consumers characterized by behavior and specific demographics, such as female extreme athletes between the ages of 18 and 25. See how specific that is?
Yeah, that's what
target audiences are a pillar of most businesses, influencing decision-making for marketing strategy. Target audience often decide where to spend money on ads, how to appeal to customers, and what product to build next. And so your target audience is it really helps to define your entire roadmap. And one of the things I said on my channel as I was sharing this video for my audience to come on over and hang out is, even as we were doing some of the research and some of the legwork behind the scenes for this presentation, I could not find any differences to how I would walk somebody through finding a target audience for their content. So target audience for content just has different KPIs, right? Different things that you're learning from them. And target audience for your business, they're really kind of function the same way.
Yeah.
And
what I found interesting as I was doing my research, and I like this line that someone gave, they said that audience is who you expect to buy, while the market is the broader group of people who you are selling to.
Yes.
So I really liked how they kind of explained
made the difference.
That
target audience, target market. Yeah. The people who need what you provide. I see, and this is again, when you're in business, we talked about this. I think the initial impetus for the show was this presentation we did on how to know if you are ready to be an entrepreneur. And we did that last season just to kind of recap. We did it by just the two of us again, one of those solo shows, just for people to be able to get that information from us. But one of the things that we always look at with people when they're looking at going into businesses is who are you really hoping to serve? And what is the value proposition? Those are the two main things that I do on the content side of things, but I'm seeing that has broad application across the board, even as you go into business for yourself. So identifying your target audience, we can do this in 5 simple steps, but those 5 steps, even though they're simple, they each could be an entire presentation. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to do all 5.
I know.
But what we decided to do was to kind of share with you. I'm going to share with you right now what those 5 steps are. So if you come in late, I'm going to just tell you to scrub back so you can get that. But I'm going to be referencing these. Here are the 5. The first one is determine the characteristics of your products or services. Determine the characteristics of your products or services. And so you can see the subtagline on the screen right now says how to determine your product or services in 5 steps. So we're going to dive deep on that first step tonight. Can you run through the others?
The other ones are research your market. Create buyer personas. Consider your marketing channels, and the last one is test and refine. Test and refine.
These are the 5 to help to identify your target audience, right? And research your market. I mean, we talked about that in that initial presentation as well. The buyer persona is a big one. That's where you give them the name. When we read it earlier, and they talked about the 18 to 25 female extreme athletes. Yes.
Who is your customer avatar?
And you want to be very specific, and you want to know the wraparound services that person needs. So if they're getting your thing, what is the next thing that they buy? Yes. What do they buy together? If you've ever seen Amazon do that, where it's like usually bought together.
Yes, or suggested buy this. They have figured that out real well.
And those are areas of growth, natural, organic growth for your business. So understanding those pieces are critical. So creating that buyer persona helps you there. But then also consider your marketing channels. Your marketing channels. That's a whole class in and of itself.
It really is.
Where are you marketing? I know we've talked about one of the resources of the week was BNI. And so while we are saying that it is networking, but you're also marketing.
Exactly,
you're also marketing. We were at a BNI, and I just stood up to kind of introduce myself, sat back down. There's a guy that was like, where is he? Where is he?
I need to talk to him. Let me get his contact real quick.
I got to get in touch with that guy, because that guy, I need to hear more about what he's got to say. So that target audience, and understanding your marketing channels, I should say, is really critical. And then of course test and refine. It's cyclical. You're going to be in this process. As long as you're in business, you will always be refining these things. So there's 4 main critical things there. But again, as I mentioned, we're going to dive deep on how to determine your products or services in 5 steps. And so let's dive into that joint real quick.
All right. So the first thing is effective communication of value proposition. Like, you should be able to convey to your prospective customer exactly what value it is they're going to get if they get that product or service that you're giving them. Like, you really need to define that for yourself so that you can convey that effectively to your prospective client. So they can really understand, okay, this is what I'm going to get with this. Okay, that's gold. Or I'm not quite sure what I'm getting.
I mean, this is, to be clear, how to determine your product or services in 5 steps. And the thing that we wanted to touch on first, right at the outset, is effective why you should define your offerings. We're going to define them, but we wanted to give you the why first. And the first bullet point we had there is effective communication of value proposition. Then the second thing is create a clear business roadmap where you want to go. Third thing there is enhancing your marketing and sales efforts to be able to know exactly who it is I'm going to be hitting, where I'm going to be going, what are the markets, where are the people, right? What Facebook group should I join? Where should I put my ad? Where will my ad spend give me ROI? Those are the reasons why you want to define what your offering is, so that you can determine where you want to put it. And the last one is, of course, making sure the customer support is at the top of that list.
Top of that
You want to make sure that thing is clear.
Because you can have a good product or service and then have terrible customer support, and you're going to lose that customer.
Yeah. That's, again, we talk about that cycle and understanding that cycle and curating that experience for your customers so that you know every step in every link in the chain is what I really want to say there.
Yep. You run through these real quick, because I'm hearing stuff. I'm like, ooh, I got something for that.
Oh no, yeah. Listen, we're gonna dive right. I wanted to just kind of get to step 1 because that part I just want to kind of lay the groundwork there. But step 1, and this is where you bring your pen out, right? Step 1, how to determine your product or service is you're determining your product or service. You may think, like, let's take Kanique, for example. Her service, I should say, is web design, right? Identify your core purpose. That's step 1. Now, how would you, Kanique, identify your core purpose for web design? You see, this is the process that a lot of times we don't go through. We skip, and we wonder, how come I'm not really nailing my target audience? Because you still have to kind of go back, even though like for me, live video, even live video marketing, but then what's the core purpose? I've got to identify that so that I can really identify what my target audience is. Okay, go ahead.
What am I talking about?
What would you say for this one? What's the core purpose, even as for web design?
For my customer? Giving them building credibility, giving them a space that is theirs, that they own completely.
Right.
They're not relying on social media or any of those platforms. We all saw social media, Instagram, Facebook, they all went down.
Yep.
But if you had a website, customers could still get to you. could still purchase your product or your services. You are not bothered by that. So that's definitely one thing. Having a site is like, it's yours, you own it, and it does build credibility to your business, because if you just have social media accounts, then are you really a real business?
Are you a real business?
Are you?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we have this slogan, a website makes it real, we've heard others kind of borrow it, steal it.
I know, right?
But we've been saying this for a long time.
Yes,
a website makes it real. And that's what we say to business owners, small businesses specifically. That's who we focus on. And that core purpose really dovetails well with what we're sharing here today in terms of identifying. Step number one, determining your product or service. Identify your core purpose. Now, if you're unsure how to define your product or service, you can start by answering the following questions. Now, are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
Here's question number one. What customer pain points, problems does it alleviate? And in Kanique's case, it makes it real.
Yes, it does.
Somebody's going to be checking to make, is this a real business? Is there reviews? Are they credible? Do they have an email address? What's their Better Business Bureau? Have they put sweat equity in? One of the things that I often tell folks is, man, if you don't have a presence online, what you're saying to folks is, I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm not really certain about this thing just quite yet, so I'm not really going to buy the domain and put up the website and actually create the social handles. I really just kind of, I'm kind of testing.
But when you have a website, it shows that you are really serious about that thing. This is not a side hustle.
No.
This is something I'm actively pursuing.
Absolutely. And I want to be clear that we're using web design as the example, right? So you can hear what it sounds like when you answer some of these questions, but you can literally fill in the blank.
With
what
your business
customer
or
pain
service,
points or problems does your product or service alleviate? Identify those things, and that will help you start to hone in on your core purpose. Here's the second question. What value does it add to their lives? Now, this is a question business owners don't ask enough of themselves.
True.
They don't ask enough of themselves. What value does it add to their lives? What value?
Because if it doesn't, then why would they buy that product or service? If it doesn't, you've got to really figure that out, because if it doesn't, then why am I buying that thing or using that service?
These are the things that really I want to be delicate here, but what value does it add to their lives? When you don't have an answer to this question, all of your marketing is kind of falls apart. Even if you can answer what pain points you are alleviating, but if you can't make that turn around the corner towards what value does it provide. I like. Okay, I see what Gary Link is saying. Are you flirting? Are you dating? Or are you married to your business? I love that.
That's true. That's a good way of putting it.
That's a really good way of saying it. Get down on one knee and propose, Doc. Do what you're gonna do. Put a ring on that thing. I mean,
that's true. That's
real
good.
talk. That's
I
so
like
good.
That.
And then, of course, let's get what's the third question?
How does it make their lives better?
How does it make their lives better? And I think, again, even if it's business to business, even if it's business to customer, you've got to recognize that your product or service, it meets a need, it fills a hole. So what value does it add to their lives? How does it make their lives better? These are critical questions. Now, we have services that we provide. Some of you may have a widget, meaning you have a product of some sort that somebody can physically pick up and buy. And again, you've got to be able to answer and identify these questions. Okay, the fourth question, the last question, what do you hope to achieve with your product or service? This is the only one that is introspection. This is a question for you as the business owner, as the service provider, as the product creator. What do you hope to achieve with it? And I'm gonna tell you right now, there's some things that I've created that I had a hope over here, and it's like people were using it for something else. I'm like I didn't, not quite what I had in mind. And in some cases I didn't really care, but in other cases I was like, I'm gonna pull it because it's not achieving. That's not what it's for. Yeah, that's not what I had it for. So definitely want to make sure of that. And At any point, man, please feel free to share specific examples in the chat of what you have, what you would, what types of things you're answering for these as
your
well.
answers for these questions. That would be really great, so we can kind of chat back with you
Absolutely. But the step number 1 is identify your core purpose. Identify your core purpose. And we've given you some examples of what customer pain points does it alleviate? What value does it add to their lives? How does it make their lives better? What do you hope to achieve with your product or service?
I hope you guys are writing these down, because you can go back through and answer these on your own later on after the episode is over.
Yes. And if you hit us up on our Buy Me a Coffee page, we might actually send you some of the notes. From,
true.
From the joint. I might even have it as a PDF. I don't know. You never can tell. So definitely check that out as well. Examples of product purpose. Examples of product purpose. Let's read a couple of these. These are some examples of product purpose. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so you're talking about what I put in here, the state mover.
Huh? I was talking about these, but you can say whichever you want.
So examples could be to help people stay organized and productive, or to help people learn new things and grow, to help people connect with others and build relationships, to help people make a difference in the world, and lastly, to support basic survival such as shelter, sustenance, and warmth.
I mean, these are examples of product purpose. I want you to hear those, because I don't want you to walk away and be like, and be wildly specific. This actually needs to meet a core need for a person, to help a person stay organized and productive. I mean, that's
a good one.
That's a simple one.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can really kind of see what's going on, fam. I see, hey, JD, Adapt is on. That's my video editor. What's going on, sir? Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today. But you can see, some of the, I guess, see yourself there, right? When we talk about some of these to help people stay organized, even for the web design business, you can kind of see, okay, the website actually does help
people organize, their information, what they want to say to the customer when they come to their site. That helps them to make it all organized. You can't just dump everything on the homepage, like structure that thing out or make sections on there for your content. So definitely that falls in that category.
And then I fall in the other category with my YouTube channel to help people learn new things and grow.
Yes, definitely.
But if you never make the connection that that's why somebody's coming to your service or they're coming to your product, then you can't market that part.
That's true.
So this is why it's critical to understand the product purpose, right? And then you talk about to help people connect with others and build relationships. Again, you may be, doing a master class, but if you never recognize like, oh, people actually want a longer Q&A time because they're actually networking with one another.
Because they can connect and form relationships.
And if you never make that connection, you can't advertise it.
Yes.
You can't say, hey, come to the master class and look, here's an example of somebody that made a connection, then that connection completely blew up their business.
Exactly.
And you know, those are the types of things that you can do when you understand the purpose. So those examples are absolutely critical. Core purpose of your product or service is something you should be proud of, believe in, and be excited to work towards. Proud of, believe in, and be excited to work towards.
And that's a good one, because people can tell when you do not love what you do. Like, they can tell when you're faking it.
Yes.
And if you're faking it, you're not going to be able to be successful, because people can tell. And you have to be proud of that product or service that you're doing. You got to be excited about it. Like, that thing needs to be what wakes you up in the morning. And if not, people can tell.
And maybe when you drill down on the product purpose and recognize, like, I'm not even excited about this, maybe that's the time to fold that thing up.
Yes. Or change directions.
Course correct.
Focus on
Find something that you are excited about. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's step number 1 and the examples of it. So let's hit step number 2, because we don't want to be here all night, right? Step number 2, know your target customer. Know your target customer. In marketing and business, a target customer refers to the people most likely to buy your goods and services. Here, market research is paramount. Now, we're going to get back to market research in another step, but market research is paramount in determining who will benefit the most from your business? Who will benefit the most from your business?
And there are many ways you can try to determine who that target market customer is.
Yep.
So
and this is just as she's going to give you some of the core pieces of this, right? There's 3, and then they all have some subsets. But I want to say this for those who have like a content business, like you create content and it also funnels into your business, like me. This is quite literally the same target target specifications that you use for content as you would for your business. Go ahead.
And some of the things are demographic data, such as their age, their occupation, gender, all that. And then psychographic data, which is, their worries, their values. And then their behavioral data, like are they likely to buy online or are they on social media?
Right.
Stuff like that.
If you just take those 3 and really try to put together a persona, demographic, psychographic, behavioral. If you just take those 3 and you begin to body out, just answer those questions. What's their age? What's their occupation? What's their gender? What's their ambitions, their worries, their values? Are they likely to buy online? Are they going to use social media? Or are they not going to use social media?
Yeah, because when you put all that together, like you're going to put down like the age is 65.
Now you have
already
an entire...
know they're not likely to buy on possibly social media because they're not really on social media at that age. So once you start to drill that down, it kind of helps you to answer some of these questions as you drill down on that persona too.
Yeah, absolutely. Why would a potential customers be interested in this product or service? How are they going to use it? How are they going to use it? Once you understand that, okay, this is for a black woman in her mid-30s to early 50s, right? And they are a marketer, but they're solo, right? They work in marketing, but they don't have a team. So now we've identified age, demographic, gender, occupation. Now that woman has 2 kids and a husband.
Yeah, like get into it.
Right?
Like really break it down who this
start
person
to be like,
is.
oh,
Because I think when you start thinking exactly about who that person is, it starts giving you ideas how you can serve that person.
Yeah, you begin to start saying, wait.
And some things start to click, you get new ideas. So it's a good practice for you to do so you can figure out exactly who that person is
and how that thing goes. Them. Yeah. What's good, Michael Flemings? I see you in the chat. But once you once you get the psychographic data down, then you get the behavioral data, right? They normally do this. They normally go here. They normally have this problem. And once you begin to build out that profile, there's some natural things that you can begin to just pick off. And what features of benefits interest them the most? How would they describe the product or service to a friend?
Oh, that's a good one, y'all.
How would they describe this thing to a friend?
And we're going to touch on that a little bit too.
Yeah, I won't lie to you. I heard a client of mine describe our services, composition services, to someone else, and I was like, oh, that's it. We were doing work separately, actually, right? I was doing video work, she's doing web work. This client said, oh, they're a one-stop shop. You get the thing over here, you get everything. And I was like, man, we don't even have any packages. At that time, we didn't even have any packages that were together. So when we heard the client say that, we were like, oh, I need to just kind of
do that.
put it all together. Because when you hear a client describe your product or service to someone else, you're starting to see it through their eyes. And that's where that feedback comes in, and it's so critical.
Yeah, and that's gold, because then you can further know who your target is, or how you can wrap that thing, that service or product up nice in a little bow, and give it to who that target is.
Absolutely. I wanted to come back to the full screen for just a second, but I think we're ready to dive into this other piece, importance of defining your customer. The truth is, without a clear understanding of your target audience, your marketing materials may be misdirected toward the wrong individuals. This impedes sales progress and wastes valuable resources. On the flip side, a target approach will always save time and money.
Exactly.
The importance of defining your customer is all of the things that we just shared. The insights that you can begin to draw out of having that demographic clearly defined and designed. And then once you have those, then you're gonna have to do some deep dive, right? That's where the fun comes in. It's like, okay, what can I do? How do I add things on? What are the wraparound services? What are the opportunities that this data presents me that I can now begin to take advantage of?
Because can you imagine spending money, for example, Facebook ads? You know, to have a Facebook ad, you have to set that target just right, or you're literally just throwing your money away. So unless you have done the research for your business, say, okay, this is who my target is with that age bracket, which Facebook allows you to do, then you are just putting money into something that's not going to work for you.
And that's not where you want to be.
No.
Like, not at all.
Who has money
who
to
has
be
money
just
to just be
throwing
that joint away?
No.
Only once you identify who is most likely to buy from you can you focus your resources on reaching those individuals.
Yes.
You can't focus your resources on reaching them until you identify who them is. Who are
that?
they?
Who is that person?
That's it. That's understanding your target audience enables you to concentrate your marketing endeavors more efficiently, leading to improved outcomes. Its knowledge empowers you and your team to identify the most suitable channels to promote your products and services.
Yep.
And that's the whole crux of our presentation is how do you define it? Defining it so that you can begin to put it out there in a way that is palatable. And it's going to make more sense as we get to this next step. So the next, let me go back to the slide here. The next step, step number 3, and there's only 5, so we're almost home. Step number 3 is define your customers' needs. Define your customers' needs.
And there are 3 types of needs. There's functional, emotional, and social. So when we talk about functional, we're talking about the basic needs your product or service needs to meet to be helpful.
Yeah.
For example, do you have any examples in the chat?
Yeah.
Put it in the chat.
The basic ones, the basic needs, like it has to do this.
If not, then what's the purpose?
Right.
I don't need this thing.
Right. Like I mean, one of the examples on the page says, if the hairdryer doesn't dry hair, then
what's the
we've
purpose?
missed the mark.
And why is it called a hairdryer?
Why it's called hairdryer? Like, that's when we say basic, it's got to be basic. Like, so if you are teaching people how to live stream, the base thing that somebody should walk away with is, okay, now I know how to go live.
Yes.
Like
that's basic,
that should
y'all.
be basic. It's got to be basic. So I think a lot of times when we think about identifying our target audience, defining our products and services, sometimes we make it this huge mountain. This joint is so basic, right? Like the hairdryer must be able to dry wet hair. Like that's actually what it said. I abbreviated it, but it made it even more basic.
Yeah.
Not just that it dries hair, but dries wet hair. Like that's basic and specific all at the same time. And so just as an example, or just as I guess a exercise, this is the term I'm looking for. Try that with your business.
Oh yeah.
Try that with your business. Whether you're watching this live or watching on the replay, take your business, and define the customer need in that base functional step.
Because we can even use Gary as an example.
Right.
His business is teaching people how to do pickleball. If they walk out of his class and they're like, I still don't know how do we get points again? Yeah. Like, I have to rethink some things.
Yeah, and he also does pickleball paddle sales. And so it's like, in order to play pickleball, you need a paddle. Like that's how basic it is. Like, here's a paddle. What's the basic? The basic function is I'm going to give you a paddle so that you can play pickleball. That's so it can be just that simple. But you can put a couple in the chat. If you're watching this on replay, put them in the comments. We'd love to be able to engage with you as well.
And for those we've got some more people watching, go ahead, put your name, your business, and what it does in the chat for us, because we want to give you a shout out as we continue through this presentation.
Absolutely. She said there's three things as we look at defining the customer's needs. There's 3 components, and we talked about functional, but the next one is emotional. Emotional. These needs make your customers feel good or satisfied. Feel good or satisfied. I cannot overstate that your product or service should make people feel good. Like it shouldn't just be like, all right, well,
yeah, when they walk away, they should feel like, okay, I feel good about this. Like this thing did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like with the hair dryer, if I use that thing and my hair is still wet, I am not satisfied,
not
and
satisfied.
I do not feel good.
No, not satisfied. We have a gas station not far from us, and it was run by, I think it was not BP.
No.
Mapco.
Mapco, yeah.
So Mapco was running it. Now Circle K took it over. Now it's kind of like, okay, what are they going to do any different? But I actually went there today.
Oh, you did?
And that has been completely redone.
Yeah,
it is gorgeous now.
How about
so I don't, when I walk away from getting gas, now I don't just feel like, oh, I got gas. Now I feel like, this was an experience.
They were actually power washing the road when we were coming home. I was like, wait a minute.
They power washed the joint. They painted everything.
Yes.
They redid the pumps. They got brick on the. It's nice.
I'm a Circle K lover now.
Come on.
I got me an account too.
People should feel good. About your product or service. They should feel good about it. Yes, it should do the base things. It should meet the base needs, the base requirements. Check. But then the next level up is the emotional, and that is how they feel about it. And then the last one, in terms of defining your customers' needs. Oh, no, go ahead.
And I just want to say the feel part is so important, guys, because when you deal with a customer and they walk away feeling good after having that interaction with you, that automatically make them want to come back to that person who made them feel good. Like that is so important, and I want to just touch that again. Extremely important.
There's a dopamine hit.
Yes.
when that satisfaction. I can't tell you how many times we've had customers say, or clients come back and say, it's not that I can't do it without you.
Yeah.
It's just I just feel more comfortable when I know you're clicking the buttons.
Yeah, and sometimes there might be a product that someone's offering that might not be like amazing, but the fact that they made their customers feel good.
There it is.
They've already won.
You've already won.
They've already won. Figured it out.
That's it. I see your comment, Gary Link. We're gonna work on it. We're gonna get that pickleball channel started. The last one.
The last one is social. So this is related to how customers wish to be perceived by others. And that's a big one too for people, because people like to let others look at them and be like, "Oh, they got it. Like they're doing the thing."
Let's go back. Let's go back to web design. Somebody just today, she was sharing with me. She had a call with somebody.
Oh yes.
This call came out of them seeing somebody else's website that she did.
Yeah.
And they were like, it was just so clean, it's so simple. And they're also looking at it from the perspective of how it made them look.
Yes.
Okay? It's like, okay, everybody's dressed up in a suit, but they had on a suit and came in a Cadillac, right? It's the social component. Do not underestimate how big that is. It is huge.
It's huge. Like with social media alone.
Oh my word. Well, it's social media, but it's also perception. There's
yes,
all kinds of stuff.
That's what I mean. With the fact of social media being so big, it's the perception that makes social media what it is.
I say to Starbucks coffee drinkers all the time, I'm like, but you can get better coffee at Dunkin' Donuts for half the price, and they're like, but I need the cup. It's the cup. It's a part of my outfit.
Part of the outfit.
I gotta have the bag, right? I got the Jimmy Choo's. I got the Milano Blahniks. I have to have the cup.
Or maybe now the Stanley Cup is kind of taken for the moms or the businesswomen. It's the Stanley Cup. You got the purse. You got the Stanley Cup.
It's a status. That social piece is huge. Don't miss that. Like there are people who, real talk. I mean this seriously. And I've not said this to her before. There are people that want Kanique to come to their events just because they know she's going to do a reel. Real talk. No. They're like, oh, she's going to do a reel. It's going to be dope. So now there's a social component that goes along with it. You want to make sure you can play that up as well. Yeah, that's a big piece. Do not miss that. The best way to define your customers' needs is to talk to them. Analyze your current data, research competitors, and do general market research. We're going to come back to this one, but I want to give you some tips on how to get good or effective customer feedback. I want to give you some tips on that. A couple of things. 1, be specific. 2, listen carefully. 3, be open-minded. 1, be specific. 2, listen carefully. And 3, be open-minded. Be open-minded. Talk to us about being specific.
Okay, don't just ask a general question, because you need to know exactly what your customers need.
Yeah.
Like, ask them specifically, like, what pain points with, like, you need to ask them, what are your pain points with your product or services?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
I hope I am. Yeah, you have to ask them those specific questions. So once you get that response, then you can fine tune, your products and services.
Yeah. When you ask, what do you need? They may tell you, I need a new husband. I mean, they may tell you things that you can't help them with, right? It's too general. It's too broad. It's too open-ended. In fact, when you ask somebody something that broad, the likelihood is they're just going to give you a generic answer because it's too broad. But when you ask them something like what she just said, what are your pain points with this hairdryer? What are your pain points with this website? What are some of the things you'd like to see changed in this live show?
Yeah, and that
Boom.
client you talked about,
Boom.
That's exactly what I asked him. What are your issues with your website?
Boom.
So then I can know exactly what I need to do
And
to
that's
provide
the
the service you
That's
need
the finish line.
to fix whatever you're seeing that's wrong with your site.
That is so good.
So, yeah.
Yeah, then it's listen carefully. You've asked them the specific question. Now it's time to really hone in. Not just what they're saying on the surface, but what they're saying underneath.
Exactly.
Like what is the pain points? For the guy, if we're going to continue with this as an example, you ask him what are the pain points, and for him it's like, man, really it's too flashy, but what is he really saying? What is he really
like
saying?
what exactly is the flashy thing?
Yeah.
So I know how to get rid of that thing that you're like, it's too much. So yeah, gotta ask.
And you gotta listen carefully. When you talk to customers, listen carefully to what they say. Don't just focus on the questions you have prepared. Pay attention to their tone of voice, body language, and facial expressions. Then lastly, be open-minded. Don't take it personal. This is a big one. I didn't even have to look at the notes, but
that's a good one.
Take it personal. When you want good feedback from your client, the way you respond when they're telling you your stuff is trash is a big component of whether or not you'll get any more feedback. If you can't take it, then people are just like, I would like to tell him, I would like to tell her that this is what you could do to improve, but
if you know they're going to blow up and get all upset, then they're going to keep it to themselves, and you're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again and get frustrated because you're not getting the business you want.
Yeah, and that's a surefire way to burn out. So those are some tips to get for effective customer feedback. And then we're at step 4. Look at that. We're almost there.
Yeah, we're
step
almost
number 4,
done.
product/service description. Now we have to describe it. We have to describe it. You create your product or service for customers. So using precise language when describing them is essential. What is evident to you? Oh my, this joint right here. What is evident to you may need to be clarified for your target audience.
Yes, exactly.
Like even this entire conversation right here, target audience, has to be clarified to those who are not in this space. Right? There are things that you will say because you are in your niche. You're in your bag, deep in your bag when you're talking about your product or service. And you're like, yo, the ISO and the this,
and the client is like, huh? I don't know what you're talking about.
Clearly I don't need that because I don't even know what it is, right? And so describing it is a science, and I don't see enough people focus on the language that we use to describe our products and services.
Like layman terms, like break it down, make it real simple for that person to fully understand what you're talking about.
You can let me go to full. You can start by identifying key features of your product or service. What are the things that make your product or service unique? What are the benefits that your product or service offers to customers? Don't just say your product or service is easy to use. Explain how and why that's important to customers. How and why.
Yeah. Make it understandable for the customer.
Clear, concise.
Yeah, use clear and concise language. Avoid the jargon and technical terms. Do not use the technical terms. Or if you do use a technical term, explain it immediately so your customer can understand exactly what you're saying in a way that they can understand and make it relatable.
Yeah. Yeah. Focus on the benefits. What problem does your product solve? What problem does it solve? How does it make their lives easier or better? That needs to be baked into the description. Why would I even do this? I'm going to give you some examples here in a second.
Yeah.
But you also want to use customer testimonials as much as possible. Case studies supporting your claims. This is a great way to show potential customers how your product or service has helped others. You want that proof baked into your description.
Yeah. For example, if you go to majority of the websites that you go to, what do you always see on there? Testimonials. Like, that's such a sure way of telling people,
in their
I'm
own
credible.
Words.
I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
Like, she's legit.
Yep.
Like, so definitely have those testimonials because they are gold. They're currently like Google Business.
Yep.
Like, if you looked up a business and you were like, only 1 star.
Only 1 star?
Are you going to go to
What's
that
going
business?
on? What's going on?
You're not. I'm not.
The truth is, you're not. You won't. You won't. None of us would. It's just not even how we roll. Keep your descriptions brief and to the point. No one wants to read a long rambling explanation of your product or service.
No.
Oh my.
Come on. Yeah. That pitch.
Yeah.
You got to get that pitch together.
Yeah.
And that's why I love going to BNI every Thursday. You got to fine tune that pitch, whatever it is. 30 seconds. Tell me what your business is and how can I use it or how is it beneficial to me.
Your live stream is your digital storefront. There's no greater way to go from busy and broke to peaceful and paid than for your ideal customer to see you do your thing live. Done. And when I sat down, dude was like,
he was sold.
I need that. I need that in my life. I need it yesterday. Because you recognize like, oh, live streaming is a digital storefront. Everybody understands storefront.
You understand.
You're putting it in terms. I'm not saying, hey, you got to use the RTMP and make sure your f-stop is.
And they're like, huh?
Yeah.
What?
No. But I'm not telling them any of that stuff. Digital storefront. This is what live streaming can do for you. Help people to sink their teeth into it. Give them the testimonials. Man, I had a guy. He was a financial advisor. This guy went live, started answering people's questions. The chat lit up and all people were saying was, how can I get this man to manage my money? Why did that happen? Because he was live. Now, I'm giving you this to say, these are examples, testimonials that I have for my business, and you need to be able to start racking them up for your own. Go ahead.
And since you talked about him as well, for me, money and all that stuff is gibberish to me. But when I watch him do his show and he actually shows me the data and everything on the screen while he's doing his show, then I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Perfect.
But if he's just standing in front of me just speaking about this thing, it's like over my head. I have no idea what he's talking about.
and that's another thing too, being practical and making sure that people can sink their teeth in. Here, and as we talk about being practical, here are some examples, product/service description examples. All right, let's go one for one here. Easy to use interface.
Lightweight and portable.
Long battery life.
Durable construction.
High quality materials.
Come on, you can use some of those, guys. Feel free. These are free. Take these. Service features. 24/7 customer support.
Free shipping.
30-day money back guarantee.
Easy to use online platform.
Personalized recommendations.
these are examples. These examples are specific, clear, and concise. Specific, clear, concise. Specific, clear, and concise. These examples are specific, clear, and concise. They also focus on the product or service's benefit. By following these tips, you can describe your product or service features in a way that will help you sell your product or service to potential customers.
Keyword benefit.
Yeah, listen, specific, clear, concise. Specific, clear, concise. That's like, I don't, yes, and yes. Specific, clear, and concise. All right, here's number 5.
And this is the last one, y'all.
Here's number 5. Here's number 5. Outline success criteria. I see David Hunt has joined us, and I want to say, David, this is not pre-recorded. I see your comment in the chat. I'm so glad you've been released from rehearsal.
I know.
Put your business name and where you are located and what you do in the chat. We want to make sure we get a chance to shout you out. Micah Flemings, if you're still here, do the same. JD Adapt, if you're still here, do the same. We're on step number 5, outline success criteria. This is the end zone. This is the if you're going to your GPS, the first thing it's going to ask you is, what's the destination? This success criteria is the destination. And then the GPS maps out a way to get there. If you never put the destination in the GPS, you can't map a way towards it. Okay? All right? You can't celebrate. You can't do the end zone dance. You'll never get there if you don't outline your success criteria.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So the first one we have is increased sales. It's measured either in units sold, revenue generated, or market share.
Like, if this is for you, if this one works for you, this is an example. Every company has different service and product success criteria. Although it usually, I want to say this, usually boils down to 3 overarching metrics. And so increased sales is one. The second one is improved customer satisfaction. I want to go back to big for this. Improved customer satisfaction.
That should be number 1.
It really should be measured through surveys, reviews, or social media mentions.
Come on.
Social media mentions. Listen, this is where it's all about. Improved customer satisfaction. So we're talking about outlining success criteria. How are you going, if one of your success criteria is that I want to improve customer satisfaction, how can you say we've arrived if you're never measuring it?
You got to measure.
You got to measure the thing.
You got to measure.
You got to measure it. If you're not measuring it, then what are we even saying right now?
And how do you know if you're successful?
Oh, my.
Come on.
Here's the third one.
Reduced cost, calculated in decreased production, marketing, and overhead costs.
When you know who you're working for, what they need, you can be more effective and efficient in creating that service or product and decrease your overall costs.
And some of that cost could be time.
Listen.
Come on, time.
Because especially, if you know what you're doing, you can buy bulk. Oh God, I hope you guys are hearing what I'm saying. Like, we used to just do web design. Do you understand that we used to pay hosting? Like, we would connect our clients to a host, and then they would pay the host and then pay us to design. And they would pay us one time. And we were like, carry the 2. That don't add up.
That don't work.
So then we decided, we gonna host.
We gonna sell the host.
That is a natural outgrowth of the core business. What is the wraparound service that the client needs? We're having to connect them to someone else to host their website that we build. Now, they pay us one time for the website, but they're paying that servicer every year or every month. Now we host. That reduces cost because I'm able to give the client now a wraparound package that includes everything.
Come on.
No, but you're going to need this and this and this, and we do the maintenance, and we do the security, and we do the back. All wraparound services that we can provide them. They're getting a savings, but here's the clincher. Because we are purchasing these services in bulk. No, I don't think you guys are hearing what I'm saying.
And you need to be thinking about this for your business.
We're purchasing those services in bulk and selling them as a line item to each one of our customers. That's business in a nutshell. That's business in a nutshell. Reduce costs. Your success metrics should be specific, measurable, should be SMART. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Time-bound, right? We also advise involving relevant stakeholders, sales, marketing, customer support during this process so everyone is on the same page.
Exactly.
An example of a realistic success could be things like increase sales by 10%, reduce customer churn by 5%, increase customer satisfaction scores by 20% in the next 6 months, time-bound. Those are the things we want to be able to share there.
Measurable, with numbers
and data. With numbers and data. Why is it? I'm going to go back to our slides for a second. The importance of determining success metrics. There is so many things here. There's so many things here. I'm just going to say one. They lead to better product decisions.
Yes.
The right metrics help product managers make more intelligent decisions about the product improvements and prioritization.
Exactly.
What am I going to actually do next? I work with StreamYard, meaning I utilize the platform. I don't work with them. I shouldn't have said it that way. But anyway, they're constantly being bombarded with requests.
Yes,
UCAM as
I'm
well.
Sure.
They're constantly being bombarded. Here are the requests.
People
Hey, can we do this?
Thing.
Hey,
can you add this feature? Can you do this?
How do you define? How do you prioritize which one you use
next?
Which one are you going to put up first? You prioritize it by determining, right, your success metrics. Exactly. If you know what your success metric is, then it will help you to, kind of put those in an entire framework to say this one first, this one second, this one third.
Everything.
Boom, done.
Yeah.
Because now you understand how that thing falls into your entire success framework. So, man, this was great.
Yep.
This was great. That's pretty much most of it. Oh man, we're right at 7:55. So I want to say let me go back to the thing here. I want to say that but wait, there's more. This is actually a 7-step process. The 2 steps that we skipped is do a product matrix analysis. That's number 1. And then the next one is define your product service foundation requirements. And it's actually called PFRs. It's actually a whole term. And those are 2 that are there. And we're going to make sure that we kind of put some of this stuff in the description. But if you want to get the full notes, make sure you hit us up on Buy Me a Coffee and we'll make sure that we give it to you there. Our links are in the description. The links are in the description. But the next thing I want to share is like this was the first step of the 5 steps to identify your target audience. And those steps are determine the characteristics of your product or service, which is what we went over today.
Yes.
But the second step is
research your market.
Research your market.
Yeah.
Research your market is what we hope to do in the next episode. I don't know if we'll do it next episode or when, but we hope to do that in a later episode.
Yeah.
The other 3 are create your buyer persona. Number 4,
consider your marketing channels. And number 5, test and refine.
I love the test and refine part. Okay, we didn't leave a whole lot of time for Q&A.
No, we sure didn't.
we sure didn't. I think that's actually the last slide there. But we didn't leave a whole lot of time for Q&A. But I hope that this was of value to you. I see Gary Link's comment saying this is a masterclass. I know that we shared a lot of information in a little bit of time. But when you're talking about defining your product and service in the overarching goal of identifying your target audience, this is a critical step.
It really is.
Yeah. What are you selling?
Before you go into business, you have to sit and kind of write all this stuff down to make sure you know what your service product is, and then you know who your target audience and market is, and that persona. Because if you don't do all that stuff in the beginning, then you could be completely just not getting the customers you need. Not really being successful.
The other thing is, so we had Tyann on last week. And Tyann talked about basically throwing a lot of things against the wall and seeing what sticks. And that I want to say to the people who are out there like, man, I didn't do any of this. I just kind of launched in and something stuck on the wall and I just kind of launched in. I didn't do any of these pieces. I felt a little overwhelmed. I want to give some grace to those folks out there and say, listen, that's okay. You can still go through this process even in business, even as you're establishing, even as you have clients, even as you're building and your client, your team, I should say, even as you're building out your resources and you're doing your networking, you can still go through this process to help refine. See, that test and refine piece means that even for those who did this before they launched, they still have to kind of go back through.
That's what I was going to say, because if they did not do that in the beginning, I'm sure that they have had to go back and do some of these things again as they're trying to fine tune and figure out how they can grow that business. Because yes, you got some success with that group, but I'm sure they're having to go back and saying, okay, how can we get this successful? How can we make this thing grow and make it bigger and bigger and bigger? They have to do those steps in order to get that done.
And here's the thing about, so you can do this as you're launching out. You have no clients right now. And you're like, okay, let me go through this process and really kind of think and dream, but you're just doing it in a vacuum. The person who has actually had clients actually has people to go and ask these questions.
Yes, true.
And there is, as I mentioned before, baked in proof. Right? That this thing is working. It worked for somebody else. You heard her talking about getting having this golden client who was like, yo, she changed my life. In the space of time, we had this coaching engagement, literally switched careers and all this other good stuff. That's phenomenal. Now she has that person's testimonial, and she can use that in her product description.
Yes. And that's another reason why people do all these test subjects, these test things first, so they can get those reviews, so they can figure out what their target is. They do all that just so they can get the information that we just shared with you all.
And those pieces are absolutely critical. Absolutely critical.
Definitely.
Man, listen, we hope that this thing was of value to you. Let us know in the comment section whether you're live or watching this on replay. What is your key takeaway? What is something that you're like, okay, I can see the correlation now. I can kind of see how those pieces fit together, and I'm gonna try out some of this stuff for myself.
Yeah, and let us know next week, because we would love to hear. If you try some of these things, and what happened? Was it good? Was it bad? Yeah.
What did you find out? I mean, listen, even as we're prepping for the presentation, I started to kind of ask those questions of our own business.
Yeah.
And I was like, might need to tweak some things. And it just kind of trying to really hone in. This is an iterative process, process. It's cyclical. You're not going to graduate here. This is not one of those like, okay, I met all my requirements, I'm going to walk across the stage. No. If you're in business, you're going to be doing this.
Yeah.
You're going to be going back and forth on this process. And again, like I said, we hope that it was of value to all of you. Man, we can't thank you enough for coming through and hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you all for tuning in today.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you guys.
I know that it's dense content, meaning it's like, boy, I gotta.
That's a lot.
But I also recognize the immense value of it that it has had for ourselves as well.
And he mentioned the Buy Me a Coffee. If you go to our website, iCouch.show, you can see where the Buy Me a Coffee link is, and you can also see the previous episodes if you've missed them.
That's
and
correct.
You can also see season 1, which also has the podcast episodes in there as well. So,
iCouch.show.
Yep,
that's where you go to be able to do all that stuff. Fam, always a pleasure to come and hang out with you guys on Monday nights. We hope that this was of value to you. Incubators Couch is unscripted, vulnerable conversations with entrepreneurs,
small business owners, right?
Yeah.
Just like you. Every time it gets
that small piece. She's just so used to saying it. But listen, we're excited that you were here with us tonight. Can't wait to see you in another episode. Take care, fam.